Welcome, Allegheny Trail fans and lovers. Great to be with you here for the October podcast. Got my trusty co-host here, Justin. How's it going, man?
How are you doing, Nicolle?
Coming off a couple good weeks of being out in the woods, being on trail, doing trail work, planning trail work, couple activities we've had this fall. Y'all, we took September off. We had a little thing called the 50th celebration. So didn't quite fit in a podcast during September, but boy, did we have a good time. We had 178 people from 15 states attend that wonderful celebration. Had some bands and great workshops. And the lady producing all of this, Miss Julie Gayheart, also attended that because we premiered our short film. And so let's bring in Julie for a second. Woot woot for sure.
What's happening, folks? What is going on? I was just saying it's so good to see Justin and Nicolle again, even though we saw each other in September and we briefly saw each other at Alda. It's always good to chat with you guys. And I was just complimenting you all on your presentation at Alda. I thought it was fantastic. I've never seen you guys present before. I mean, we've been hanging out, making a film and chatting it up, talking about hiking and things like that. But it was awesome to see you guys presenting at Alda. And I did get a chance to talk to, I believe it was Bob. I did see him at the booth, and I did get a chance to shake his hand and chat with him before the film. So I'm here. I'm behind the scenes. Whatever y'all need for the show production, you let me know. And again, it's always good to see you guys. And Justin, I love you. I have to say that every show.
Yeah, we just don't get to see you enough.
Yeah. Nice, Julie. Well, thanks. So we'll start out with a quick recap. Then we're going to get some tips for fall hiking, y'all. So September was super busy. Like we said, we had the amazing celebration down at the Green Bank Observatory. And then we also had a couple big work days in there. And then earlier this month, Justin, why don't we talk a little bit about the Trek, which is an annual event that the Allegheny Trail hosts on our trail, and maybe talk a little bit about the progression for people who are listening, driving the car, thinking about maybe planning something next year.
Yeah, the trek is something we do every year. It's usually October, right around the fall foliage. So we pretty much, if you start from the trek, you can almost do a whole section hike of the trail over so many years. We just pick a section. Like this year, we hiked from Seneca State Forest all the way through to Cass. So it's about a 16-mile section that we broke up over just a couple of days. So that's just, it's like next year we'll go to the next section just north of that. So if you were to be a participant at the trek for every year, you could pretty much have a guided hike of the Allegheny Trail. So this year we had just a great number of people that came out to us. We were able to stay at the Seneca State Forest pavilion area. The superintendent let us stay there. Helped us get everything set up there. And we've had like 12 or 13 participants total. You'll hike from that first day 8 miles from Seneca State Forest, from Lower Run Trailhead to the Dilly's Mill Trailhead. And we supported them by doing the shuttle. We had set up water about 4 miles in so they could restock on water. We had a couple breaks and a couple shelters up there. Had lunch at the Seneca Springs shelter. So it's just a great time for everybody to really come out and just slack pack along the trail and just really have a great time at night at camp.
Nice. That's one of my favorite ways to backpack, slack pack. Don't tell anybody. But no, it's kind of cool. We had some people in from different states this year who came to the 50th. They ended up coming back who this time of year, again, those ridges in the Allegheny Trail are pretty spectacular with the foliage. And I heard you were in charge of the amazing weather.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out for us this time. It was going to be some great weather. So cool nights, but the days got up in the 60s and 70s. So yeah, it was a really good time to hike up there.
Nice. And then y'all went
all
through,
winter.
yeah, I heard part of that trip too. Y'all went through some of the CCC shelters that were put in on trail. And for those that don't know, the Seneca State Forest we're talking about, where this actually went through, who all hikers of our trail end up going through at one point, I believe turned 100. So pretty significant landmark there. And some of the structures you walk by and get to have lunch in or stay in are pretty cool for sure. You
There's
guys
really a lot of history in that section. Besides just the CCCs, they do a lot of the shelters through there. They've been maintained and kind of rebuilt, but you can still see some of the old chimneys and such on there. But it's also the first section of the Allegheny Trail that was thanks to the support of Boy Scouts letting us donating the land for the first part of the Allegheny Trail to actually be built on and opened up. So that's really a historic section for the Allegheny Trail. So it's kind of nice it worked out during our 50th anniversary to be able to hike through kind of a special section like that.
That's really true. Didn't think about that earlier, but it's really great to bring that up. And then we had a couple other big volunteers. President Jeff was out there with a couple other volunteers working and helping maintain and update some of those structures. So it was just an overall great weekend. Trail work, slack pack, good food, campfire. Hey, what more do you want, right? That's great. We also, in the month of October, previously here, y'all, we went to Alda. And Julie, feel free to come on in here for this. Alda, for those of you who don't know, it's an acronym that stands for Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association. Now, forgive me, I don't know how long that's been around, but Miss Julie, I know you're hiked the AT a couple times here. Do you have any insight on that?
Well, the ALDA organization was originally created for hikers. So you had the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, and the Conservancy is for the trail. So a gentleman by the name of Warren Doyle actually created the Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association, I believe, somebody could probably correct me if I'm wrong, in the 70s, if not in the early 80s. And I can look up the date on that, but ALDA has been around for quite some time. I believe I don't know if this was the 45th celebration, something of that nature. So anyway, ALDA is to celebrate the hikers. And it's a lot of the Appalachian Trail, but the ALDA board is really wanting to expand all of the East Coast trails and add them and get them involved in ALDA. So this year you had Nathan Wright from the Pinhoti Trail. There was you guys with the Allegheny Trail, and I'm not quite sure all the booths that were there. I know somebody always has a workshop like on the Benton Mackay Trail. The Florida Trail is usually represented at ALDA. So all of the long distance trails on the East Coast, that is what ALDA is representing, and the hikers that hike on those trails. There's also an ALDA West. So they have a big gathering out west for all the trails that are up and down the West Coast. So really what ALDA is it's a gathering. It is tons of workshop over the weekend, anything from learning about new trails, how to do trail maintenance, how to day hike, older hiker things. I mean, you name it, they have a workshop for it. And Jester Wallace Productions, me and Austin, we were able to go, and it was exciting because you all showed the Allegheny Trail film, and then we also showed Safe and Found. So it's really a good way to connect with individuals that hike up and down the East Coast.
Gotcha. Yeah, and one of the things too, like Wheezy P was there with her dog and talked a little bit about hiking with the dog, safety, that type of thing. So I didn't get to go to enough of the workshops because we had our booth, but at the same time, the people there are always amazing, great stories, great experiences, sharing all the time. Just, it's like a big hug when you go there. And one of the things that I also want to shout out and talk about for a minute with that organization is their new Eco Trace Award. Are you familiar with that, y'all?
I have heard of it. I've read about it in their newsletter, but I'm not 100% sure exactly what that covers.
Sure. So I'll jump in on that. Was talking with, I believe it was Dennis, the president. I could be wrong, but essentially, EcoTrace is an initiative that Alda has come up with to say to some of the AZ hikers, "Hey, we know what overuse is. Hey, we're conservation minded. We have all these other great trails in and along the AT. So here's what we're going to put forth. We're going to encourage you to go hike some of these other trails, and what we're going to do is we're going to create an award called the Eco Trace Award. If you hike 500 miles on collectively, or, if you just jump around 50, 50, 50, 50, you just tally your miles on other trails, and they say, okay, cool, we're going to send you this certificate and whatnot, acknowledge you. And so those of you out there, the Allegheny Trail is 311. This whole thing counts because we touch it, but we're another trail right in Appalachia that they're trying to promote. So kudos to them for creating this conservation awareness award and getting some hikers out on some other places. So we thank them very much for that. And
yeah, and I do want to, sorry to interrupt, Nicolle. I do want to give a huge shout out because of the efforts that Alda has done for Hurricane Helene, and getting out there and getting to some of the hostels that need work and pulling people together, and they're still doing that. And in fact, I need to give a shout out to Penny Vaughn, who was actually the coordinator for Alda this year, because she reached out to me personally and asked who she could contact at the Mountains to Sea Trail organization, because Alda also wanted to contribute to the Mountains to Sea Trail, because the Mountains to Sea Trail runs along and crisscrosses the Blue Ridge Parkway. And it's just, y'all, the trail has just been decimated. There is going to be so much work that needs to be done specifically on the Mountains to Sea Trail in Western North Carolina. And, Alda has really pulled it out as an organization to try to help as much as possible in their areas in the Southern Appalachians. I mean, it's amazing what they've done in a short amount of time.
Yeah. And, those are our brothers and sisters right down the ridge. I mean, this isn't like, somewhere else. This is right down the ridge from us, y'all. And I know that Nancy East, who was at our 50th, of course, Julie, Austin, y'all have great resources to donate to where it can actually get to where it needs to go. Not that there aren't a bunch of those out there, right? But also, I believe on y'all's, I could be wrong, but I think on your website or some of your social media, you've got some links to different things. So don't be afraid to check that out or to throw that in the chat for people too, Julie, at the end of this, right? Because there's a lot of people that need help for sure. We never... I wanted to say something about that early in the podcast, and forgive me, but yeah, Helene's definitely wreaks serious havoc. We've got a little trail damage, but come on now. Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. My goodness, we were right there at Alda next to Damascus. The other thing about Alda, they were organizing Workdays, just to go right next door down to Damascus and help. So great organization. Definitely want to leave people with the incentive to maybe check them out next year. And I do believe that they're back in Abington one more time. So super close, right? Total in the middle of the trail. Kind of nice. And so, moving on here, we'll talk a little bit more about a couple work days we got coming up, and then we're taking a break for the season, people, believe it or not. We've got a work day this coming weekend, and it's going to be between Bear Branch and Laurel Run. And we've got a nice crew coming out. We've heard about some things. And I want to make a shout out to my man Zigzag. He may or may not be listening right now, but I know he'll be listening on his ride home back to Tennessee later on this week. He's been hiking the whole thing. And as we talk about fall hiking, one of the things he made a comment to me was, I've hiked a lot of smaller trails. I've got some parents that are aging, so he doesn't get a chance to run away and do some of these big trails anymore. But one of the things I was really surprised with what he said, Justin, was, hey, I've hiked 7 of these trails between, say, 300 miles to 500 miles. And this Allegheny Trail, it's beautiful. it's really nice. The roadwalks aren't really roadwalks. You're not getting debris thrown all over you. It's like the country road song. He's kind of getting it. So I appreciate him very much. Due to some of his intel, sending back some info about where we need to go is why we're going where we need to go. So Zigzag, we appreciate you. We thank you. And for those of you other hikers that end up coming out, you've got the option to make comments on Far Out, and I'll let Justin talk about that for a second and how it actually impacts our work days and helps us move forward.
Yeah, I mean, comments from hikers, especially if you've done some trail, and if you were to mark a mile point, take a photo, that's a lot of help because that really does help us target trouble areas. Because just going out and okay, let's plan a work day from this point to this point. If we don't have the right intel, we could be kind of just a few blowdowns here and there, a little bit of clearing, but there could be somewhere else that either a microburst, storm, or something hit that we just don't know about. So getting that information is really crucial to plan our work days. So this is why we're going where we're at. We've had so many hikers reach out to us and tell us this section on this ridge line is just in rough shape. And just by seeing the pictures of the hikers sent us, we're getting work cut out for us this weekend. It's going to be a lot of work to clear, but fortunately, we've got a lot of people who's responded and going to come out this weekend. So without that, we definitely will not be able to get this section cleared because it's nothing like down North Carolina, the destruction down there that I've witnessed. There is quite a lot of work to do on the ridge line, not just from Helene, from our previous storms we've had this summer. So we definitely got a lot of support just from the hikers who's helped us out by noting the mile point and taking a picture, and comments on Far Out, they help as well. But really the best way is to contact WC Unit Trails by sending an email or going online, but with some photos, that really does go a long way to helping us plan our work days.
And I'll take a second too, Justin, and just kind of bounce off that a little bit. You've been able to create some forums for the hikers. So if you're thinking about coming out and hiking our trail, y'all, come on, baby, come on. But at the same time, we want it to be safe, right? So, Justin, you've got a registration form you've created in a Google Doc that's on our homepage. If you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the hiker registration. It gives us feedback on some safety equipment, your trail name, kind of your plans, so we have a background. But at the same time, embedded in that one is a completion form. So we've had several people in the last 2 weeks that have been hiking the trail give us some incredible feedback. So that's another way, not just for trail maintenance, but really some ideas y'all may have. Look, we're one big hiking family. So if you have an idea that's a good one, don't hoard it, share it, right? Pay it forward for all of us. So we're excited to continue to have that rapport with the hikers. Sometimes we don't even see, but then there's also like a certificate and things like that you get when you complete. So we appreciate y'all doing that. For those of you that are thinking about coming out, gonna do it, and we may or may not be in contact with you. So that's a heads up ahead of time. And then just for those of you that may be joining us for the first time, we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Obviously, we've got the monthly podcast going on. If you're interested, you can hop on our website, hikethealleghenytrail.org, and check out and get involved in things and be kept abreast of things with our monthly newsletter. So let's talk a little bit about the time of year. I mean, it's fall, baby. It's fall. We got some tips and tricks to get through some of these encounters you may have on trail. And so Justin and I are going to popcorn around. Miss Julie, feel free to chime in on this, y'all, and maybe even talk a little bit about a story or experience you may have. But one, I'm going to kick it off with, we're in Appalachia. We're in the mountains. There's this thing called extra layers. I know you may not want to pack them, but I guarantee you're going to need them. So when it looks like the extra puffy, that looks like extra, puffy socks you're sleeping in, like those little booty things. I love mine. It's cold at night. It can be as warm as it wants to be in the day, but sugar, it's going to be cold at night. Prepare for that. Justin, tell me what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love the fall hiking. It's one of my favorite times of year. It's when I first did the first through hike of the Allegheny Trail was in October of 2020. And I mean, I love hiking through there during days. You got 60s, 70s at the temps in the day. some of these ridge lines can drip down to 30 degrees or below at night. So, I mean, I carried a 30-degree quilt with me on my hike there, but I also had a little liner to go with me, some the supporting jacket. I used pretty much every layer almost every night. So it can definitely get cold because some of these ridge lines from Shavers, the Canadian Valley, Blackwater Falls, it can get cold at night. So definitely need layers at night on this trail. But I mean, you got to cut that from water being really, you don't have to go carry water or I can go farther with 2 liters of water in the fall than I can with 2 liters in the summer too. So it kind of balances your way a little bit. Definitely don't get on layers in the fall.
Yeah, good call, good call. And we'll pop into water there for a second then, because, the fall in Appalachia, we've got hurricane, as we've seen with our, family down there in North Carolina, our brothers and sisters there in Tennessee, South Carolina, Virginia, all of it. Those hurricanes typically come inland. Like, we get their actual effects. And so in my experience with fall activities and hiking, water is usually not such a problem, except on the ridges. So I don't want to get anybody false pretense, right? But at the same time, there's a little bit more, like you're saying, you're not sweating as much. You may not be going through as much. Then again, if you're a coffee drinker, you're in the morning, you may be having 2 cups when it's so cold before you get rolling. But tell me what you're thinking about that, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, the water on these ridge lines definitely keep track of. Typically, your water carries may be a little bit longer because some of the smaller streams dry up. I mean, I usually most would carry 2 liters with me, but sometimes I get by with one just where I don't. But I mean, it's still, I would make sure I get enough water through there. But during the day, I wouldn't have to carry as much. Or I could go 10, 15 miles on 1 to 2 liters at the same time. At the same time, when I get water, I kind of camel up at sites as well. But yeah, definitely be aware of the ridge lines. They do dry. But that's, again, the far out comments are really great. We've had a lot of hikers this season, so the comments are definitely pretty up to date. And far out's new feature where it gives you a water rating on there that is very helpful. So usually gives you a 2-week notice for a comment that's been made in the last 2 weeks on your water source, whether it's dry, flowing, or slow seep. Far out will have a little gauge on there to tell you how likely the water is there. And it seems to be pretty accurate based on the comments. So definitely good to have check comments ahead of time when you're out there on far out.
Yeah, good point. And one other thing we'll pop in there, some of the tips and tricks, everybody, is these leaves, right? And they can be dangerous. And so our visual people, I'm holding up one of the blazes right now. And yes, it's branded, but it's yellow, right? And so we've got all kinds of leaves, y'all, that are yellow coming down, coming at us. It's really one of those things. Save your battery, for your far out and stuff, and you're always checking in, you're being safe. But at the same time, those trees, you never know where a leaf's going to be. It's hung up on a tree and you think it looks like a square, but it really isn't. And so you just never know. Or they get in a web or something, and it could be an optical illusion. We got to really be vigilant and aware of these yellow blazes. And so I know that's one thing on a lot of trails. In the fall, they can get covered up and different things, but our blazes are actually yellow. So I don't know about you, Justin. I've missed a few when I'm just cruising along thinking like, oh yeah, wait a second, hold on. Where's my next blaze?
I have definitely struggled. When I first did the hike, I wasn't as familiar with the trail. So, I mean, I was really paying attention to these blazes. And Section 4 North for me, the blazes can be cut into 2x2 diamond blazes, which are a little bit smaller. We're trying to replace those with the larger 2x6 rectangles, make them a little easier to see. But at the time, most of Section 4 was blazed with small diamond blazes. So it really was a struggle to see if there was a leak or a blaze. But fortunately, we've been updating blazes a lot along trails, so we still have some ways to go on Section 3, but mostly Section 4 is the 6 blazes, lots of section 2 areas as well. So not going to be as much of a problem as it has been in the past, but definitely keep track of those. And where the trail is not as well traveled, it doesn't have a defined path on some areas. The leaves will definitely cover that up. And there can be a hole right there, easy to step in, or some rocky sections to watch out for as well. So those leaves can cover up some sections, especially on the side hill areas. When you get the leaves that blow in just on one side of the mountain there, it can make a little deeper leaf flare there for you too. So that's good to watch out.
That's a really good point too with your footing, and it may slow you down a little bit, y'all, with some of that stuff on the trail, on the little debris, but it's certainly worth using your trekking poles. Just be aware, right? It's one of those things. It's just maybe 45 days worth here in the fall, and then like I was telling Julie and Justin even before we started on the podcast, y'all, tonight, Pocahontas County's already had snow. I'm not talking about a frost. I'm talking about snow. Now, granted, it melted, no question, but at the same time, we get some of the heavier snows here coming in, and it'll beat down some of those leaves and that debris and stuff on the trail. But just be aware, you guys can do this. So one of the next big things we're going to talk about in the fall is the blaze orange topic, which means hunters, and they're on our trail too. So we're all here to enjoy nature on a multitude of levels. But Justin, tell me your experience a little about hiking in the fall and having hunters around, or the blaze orange topic in general.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of evidence of hunters. Ran into them on trail, parts of Section 4 borders with private land, so they usually go out there, hunt on their land, or you can definitely hear them in the distance. But definitely good to be seen, because hunters do use the trail for access on quite a few sections of the trail. So definitely won't be surprising if you see hunters out there on trail.
Yeah. And I was just talking to, I was talking to Zigzag today. And one of the things as a hiker, right, you're an ambassador for what we're doing. You're out there to enjoy it. You're conservation minded. You want your own tranquility. The hunter's no different. And so a lot of times when it comes down to, it's just saying, hey, how's the hunt going? Good luck. And how you get seen though is that blaze orange. And we've got some towels. We encourage everybody, it's out there in the fall, but we encourage people to have that orange, whether it's that orange shirt, like blaze orange, right? Everybody knows what that is. So whether it's your shirt, but you got to think about your backpack's going to cover up a large portion of your body. And so we also have towels that have a big A in the middle, and they're about 3 feet long, maybe about 8 inches wide, that are blaze orange. And that's an additional component you can hang on the back of your backpack, even, because we know a lot of your back's going to be covered, but at the same time, it's one of those things we got to stay alert. We got to stay, out there and seen. And so in our state, there's, some squirrel hunting going on. There's some deer hunting going on. And most of that, typically this time of year for the deer, is bow. So it's not like, you may hear a gun go off or something. That's a little bit more like a squirrel hunting type thing, because in our state, gun season, right, doesn't come in until the week of Thanksgiving. And so in our state, we go archery first, then rifle season, then black powder. And typically that time of year, we don't have as many hikers because, again, the weather has turned. It's usually typically much cooler, snow's falling, that type of thing. And plus you're home with your family during the holidays. But fear not, a lot of the hunters are out there for the same reasons we are. And they have every right to be there too. And let's just have fun with each other, enjoy the space we're in. So the next big one we'll talk about is looks like we've talked a bunch of these in here, but the colder temps in the valleys. Now we talked about colder temps in general, right? But when you're choosing your place to spend the night, we know that cooler air sinks, right? So at the same time, that's where the water's going to be. So when you make that decision about where you're going to hunt, Justin, or where you're going to sleep, it may or may not be something that it may be second nature to you, but let's talk to some of our maybe newer hikers who are out there, and the strategy where it comes into play in the fall and the cooler months, where you're going to pick your spot to tent up and hammock up.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you have a single wall tent, condensation can definitely be a problem in single wall tents, especially down low near water sources like that. I mean, I kind of like to stay up high in the ridge lines where you can get some airflow and keep that going on. But yeah, if you're down low in the valley, especially next to a stream or something, and it gets really cold, you're most likely going to see condensation or even frost on your tent probably at night. So I've definitely experienced that, and especially if your sleeping bag butts up against your the sidewall at night, so you get things wet. So that's another definitely watch out for, especially if you have down. Once it gets wet, you're gonna get a little bit chillier at night. It definitely does not insulate when wet.
Right.
So that's one benefit of synthetic material as well. But you gotta keep a lookout for staying dry if you got a single wall tent and plenty of condensation.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know how that is with the hammockers. We'd have to probably get somebody maybe in the chat if there's any people who hammock, what that's like for you guys. I'm a tenor myself, and I remember the first time I woke up and there was like little ice droplets inside. I was like, "What in the world happened here? Do I have a leak?"
Mhm.
But
Typically with hammockers, it's definitely a little bit easier because I mean you still have some condensation on the inside of your tent, but it's not as much of a problem when I do hammocking camping as well. But definitely I've noticed you get more airflow when you're in a hammock with a tarp over top of you, so it does help cut back on condensation.
it might not help cut back on the cold. I don't know. It's a 50-50 thing. I gotta have that conversation with my buddies. That's funny. Julie, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, the one thing with the hammock is you got to have an underquilt. So, this time of year, most people, if you're hammocking, your pack is going to be a little bit heavier because you're carrying 2 quilts. In the summer, you can get away sometimes without an underquilt. And my recommendation would be to hammock as high as you can, but get your water first. Make sure you have your underquilt. And I'm a wuss because I don't stay out overnight if it's going to be like under 50. So you're probably not going to see me out there except for doing some day hiking and some slack packing. I am a 100% summer backpacker, but I do recommend the underquilt when if you're going to hammock in the winter.
Are you a hammocker or are you a tenor?
I've tried both, and I'm not good with ropes, and I'm not good with all the things that come with hammocking. I just want to put the tent up and get in there and go to sleep. So my preference is a tent, but I've tried both, and I have both, and I just don't understand the hammock, and I just don't get it. It's too much stuff.
Gotcha.
Justin's laughing. Yeah, I tried to hammock for like a year.
Yeah, I know what you're going through. It took me a long time to figure out the right hang angle and all that, and especially if it is cold, you'll notice that real quick if your underquilt's not right where you need it. So it takes more precision for me to get it just right. But once I did, it was nice. But that's for me for winter, as if I don't have a cold enough set for it, but it definitely takes a little bit more expertise to get that right hang and get that underquilt set just right.
Yeah.
I will say I'm a little jealous though. Those hammockers I get in camp and put my backpack down, and they're already set up. I'm like, was there a time warp here? What just happened? But
See, now I find the opposite. Like, I get into camp, set that tent up, and I'm like cooking dinner, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, time to go to bed. But I think really it comes down to gear is all personal preference. What you like, what you get used to, and it's all, a learning curve. So I just started off with a tent. I'm comfortable with a tent. I know what to do. I have a system. So it just depends really, I think, on your system.
yeah. Well, hang here, honey, because I got another topic we're going to get into here for a second. But Just want to make note too, even though we've had a bunch of rain from Helene here, wanted to throw out, thanks Tech Redneck for putting us out in the chat, but West Virginia has been in a pretty severe drought, right? And so we're looking at fires and staying warm and that stuff, y'all. I just want to let you know that's probably not the best option on trail right now. We have a couple shelters that have rings, have a fire ring and things like that. But at the same time, I know the Forest Service has been putting out some different warnings with the high winds and things like that. So I just want to put that in people's minds as well. Like, it may not be super duper normal, safe, all that good stuff this time of year, just with our situation. So having said that, that kind of segues into maybe getting to your tent and your sleeping quarters a little bit early, y'all. It's getting darker early. It's staying darker later. What do y'all do to pass the monotony of that time?
Well, for me, I'll hike until it gets about night, have dinner, and I crawl in there, go to bed. I have no trouble with sleeping. There, I feel like I'm just kind of, as like anybody with me that'd be bored. I just hike all day, crawl in my tent, go to sleep.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Not much in between there.
Yeah, that's why I'm a summer backpacker.
You can get up early.
That's why I'm a summer backpacker. I could always get to camp before dark. But I'm kind of like Justin. When you get in that rhythm, I mean, basically, if you've hiked all day, you want to get into camp, get set up, get a nice warm meal in your belly, get in that sleeping bag, get your clothes changed, and you'll be shocked. You'll be asleep, especially if it's dark out. Like, I don't know how it is in West Virginia, here in North Carolina, once the time changes here. I don't know if it's next weekend, but whenever the time changes, it'll be dark here about 5:30. And it's hard for me to stay awake on the couch at my house after 5:30. So, but yeah, so when backpacking in the summer, just get up when the sun's up. You kind of just become, you just go with the sun up and then go to bed with the sun down.
Yeah. I know a lot of other people tend to bring like devices where they're reading something or watching something. I'm not sure that wait's worth it for me, to be honest. I like to kind of think about thoughts, maybe make some notes on my phone, but really like D-Tech, like let's get out of here and not have any of that stuff rolling around too at the same time. But full disclosure, I don't have a problem sleeping either, y'all. I just didn't know what you guys did. But I know maybe
Yeah.
Yeah. I know maybe
once I get the camp, get in there. I'm usually out about as soon as I get dinner.
Yeah, here's Tech Redneck. He says, listen to your favorite podcast and bring some bourbon. There you go.
I was pretty sure it's the Allegheny Trail podcast, right? Well, that's awesome for sure. Well, I think we kind of hit any other tips in the chat. Y'all are here with us too. If you have any other tips for fall hiking or concerns about it or anything, feel free to throw something in there. We'll bring it up. But one of the things that Justin, I'll talk about real quick and let you jump in. I'll kick it off for us. Is the volunteers of this organization just had a huge retreat, and they had a 3-day retreat. We dove into all kinds of topics. We're super excited about what the next year is going to hold, and the upcoming years in general to improve the hiker experience, get some more activities out on trail, sharpen our tools, as we say, when it comes to the whole on the trail and off the trail activities. So that's promotion and outreach and partners and, getting into some more of our trail towns and creating those infrastructure, both on and off, right? That's going to make a better experience for the hiker in general. So definitely want to leave you all with a powerful note of positivity as to what's going to be happening in next year for sure, but in the coming years. But no, behind the scenes, what we're going to be hitting hard this fall. And super exciting stuff, really, to get together with the synergy and the energy of 18 different people who all love the outdoors, who all see the value, who all have incredible passion and experiences was super amazing. Like, that's not even the right word for it, But I thank each and every one of those volunteers, and those of you that couldn't make it. We get it. We know there'll be a next time. And shout out to Camp Waldo for hosting. Fantastic facility down there in Hinton, West Virginia. So any thoughts on that you have, honey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was really, I mean, for me to be in this organization going on, 4.5 years or so, I mean, to see that many people in one place ready to plan for the future of the trail really, I mean, that really stood out to me. I mean, I've been with the groups like during W5 that we have in June, which we can have a whole lot of people there, but the main goal was usually trail work, get the board meeting done for the annual meeting, to really plan for the future like this. I mean, that's really great to see that. There's a lot of stuff coming there, a lot more people who's bringing their skills and expertise to it, not just on the trail work side, but promotion and reaching out to get more systems in place, really to help our future plans for work events. So there's just such a variety of people who's come together. Like I didn't expect to see that really over the last couple of years. It's really great to see that many people come out there still. Well, I mean, I think really the future really looking good for us. We got so many people ready to get involved, so it's working really good. And to see that many people show up at one time, just ready just to plan. So I really enjoyed seeing that. Got a lot of stuff covered and a lot more to do, but made a lot of headway in those just few days.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you that are listening to this, maybe you hear this next week, next month, next year. Look, go to, you can hit me up, Nicolle at westvirginiascenictrails.org. If you want to contribute in any way, you have a unique skill set, or you just want to, there's something you want to be able to lend a hand on. We're always looking for different people. All walks of life are welcome. And, it's just to make this hiker experience enjoyable. The volunteers that maintain the trail, the volunteers that help set up Workdays, everybody behind the scenes. Typically, you don't always see people out on trail, but we all know trails don't maintain themselves, right? And so we know y'all are doing your thing in your ecosystems and where you live, but at the same time, we've got some fabulous annual events that you may be interested in. And I know, shout out to Sketching Summits and Gray Squirrel. They were certainly interested in coming to one of our new events next year, a new inaugural event in Section 3. It's going to be called the Bear Crawl, and that's going to be May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We'll be keeping you guys abreast of all that stuff, and the schedule will be coming out in December for next year. But just want you to know there's some really fun, fun's got to be built in. If it's not fun, I'm not going. But at the same time, the work's all in it too. So, yeah, as Julie just says, huge shout out to all the volunteers, not just on our trail, but to everybody who takes their own time, one of the most precious gifts you have, and pays it forward. So thank you for your generosity on that front. And Justin, I think we've had a good podcast here, another good one tonight, showing some love to a bunch of variety of facets here on trail. Miss Julie, I think we're getting ready to wrap her on up. I'll just throw out there as a little carrot for next month. We've got a gentleman named Josh Sheets who just hiked our trail. It's going to be a fantastic interview. He's got a lot of trail experience, lots of miles, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, over 7,000 miles on trail in 22 different states. So on trails. So looking forward to hearing his tips and tricks and what he thought about our trail and just kind of learning more about him. With that, I'll let you guys say your goodbyes and happy Halloween, everybody. So I'll let Justin and Julie take us out tonight.
Yeah, I've just got something real quick. I just want to remind everybody that again, and I forget every time, that the Allegheny Trail podcast is the only trail organization podcast that I know of that is consistently giving out information, not only in a podcast form, but live once a month. So I'm proud of y'all for sticking with this. And once we get to December, you guys have been doing this a year. So that is awesome. There is no other trail organization that I can find that has a podcast. So Allegheny Trail, you are the premier and you're leading the way. So thank you all again. I'm excited to be with you all and behind the scenes. And Justin, I love it when you close out the podcast, because when I'm editing, I just love your last little voice. I turn on the music and here we go. So thank you all again.
Yeah, it's great for everybody to come up here. We'll see you next month.